Our story today comes from the fourth chapter of Mark. After Jesus has been teaching about the seeds, there's a sea crossing story. Now that day, when it was evening, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go to the other side." Leaving the crowd, they take him along as he was in the boat. There were other boats with him. And a savage squall of wind whips up, and the waves were bombarding beside the boat, and already the boat was filling up. And Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. And they rouse him and say to him, "Teacher, don't you care that we're about to be destroyed?" And rising, Jesus rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Silence, just shut up." And there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you such cowards? Don't you have courageous trust yet?" And they were frightened with great fear, were saying to one another, "Who is this guy that even the wind and the sea obey him?" This story is one of many stories that takes place in the sea or by the sea or after a trip across the sea. One of my friends, a wonderful Markan scholar named Elizabeth Malbin, charted all the geographic places, the topographical places, the physical spaces that are recorded in the Gospel of Mark in order. And I don't know how well you can see this, but let's see. This center one right here are all the crossings of the sea. This is chapter 1 through chapter 6. It continues on a little bit here. So in the midst of other settings like journey, the way settings, wilderness, specific regions, rivers, heaven, the city, village, earth itself, mountaintops, the countryside, the marketplace, houses, running down like a spine through them all are stories of the sea. The sea becomes kind of a liminal and transitional place. We sense why the sea is capable of being this in the story. The savage squall of wind whips up, and I've chosen a translation that captures some of the fear and the wind and the splashing of that moment. And the waves bombard beside the boat. One of the gifts that comes with storytelling is if you read this story, just reading it in kind of a measured tone, the disciples look foolish for their fear. But when the storm is described vividly and you almost feel like you're in the boat rocking with the disciples, you understand perfectly well where their fear has come from. Jesus is awakened by them. There's that comic moment. Where is Jesus? Where is he? In the back, sleeping. Why is he sleeping? Probably exhausted from all that he's been doing. But they interpret this as neglect of them. I think the story is remembered in this way, because often when we're caught in the midst of some kind of savage storm, whether it be natural or political or social or personal or health, it often feels as though God is not present with us, as though Jesus has fallen asleep. And so in this story, we're reminded the one who slumbers and sleeps behind us, enters into that chaos and storm with us, is right there in the boat with us, and is capable of bringing peace and quiet. I love that there's this opportunity for a pregnant pause which says something about the authority of Jesus. He commands the storms to be silent, and they listen. In our day, many storms rage around us. Much savage realities are bombarding people. This text calls us to look to the one who brings peace in the place where such viciousness occurs. May we trust in him, and may we follow in his way. Amen.